Hey, you guys. Today I want to talk about protecting your songs. I have people come to me from time to time either asking what they need to do to protect their songs, or they seem to have some kind of questionable method of how they think they can protect their songs. Protecting your music has always been important, but never more so than these days in the day of the internet. The minute you put your song out there online, it has a chance to really sweep around the globe and have any number of people pick it up, use it, exploit it, claim it. Just look on YouTube, people that have either had their music ripped off or else people that have received some sort of notice from YouTube saying that they're ripping off somebody else's music. So today I want to talk about the two things you must do if you truly want to protect your song. So here we go. The two things you need to do to protect your songs are to copyright them and to register them with a PRO. First of all, when you copyright a song, you are registering it with the Library of Congress. So I want to talk about that for a few minutes. And when you register your song with your PRO, which is a performing rights organization, it's also known as a society. In the United States, there's three performing rights societies: BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC. Different regions all around the world have different performing right organizations. When you register your song with them, it isn't necessarily protected in the same way as when you copyright it with the Library of Congress. But there is some level of protection in the sense that you have registered your song with your PRO. They know that you've made a claim on it. They know that you've stated who wrote the song and what the percentages are, things like that. The most important reason you're registering your song with the PRO is not to protect your copyright. It is to register your song in case there's any performance money that is out there to be collected. So while you're in the process of copyrighting your song with the Library of Congress, you should go ahead and register it with the PRO. So as far as protecting your song, I want to start with the big one, which is the Library of Congress, actually copyrighting your work. So let's look at that. So the first thing you need to do is go to the Library of Congress. So here it is. Now, if you sign a publishing deal, everything I'm showing you today will be done by your publisher. They handle these sorts of things for your incoming songs. The last time I think I registered a song with the Library of Congress was probably the early 2000s when I was still doing band work around Los Angeles, and I was not a signed writer. And so it's changed considerably since then. Back then it was a DOS-based program that was very, very confusing. It's much easier now to figure out how to register your songs. And I'm not going to go through the detail line by line. Much of it's self-explanatory. What I do want to show you is where you need to go and how much it's going to cost to register your work. So when you get to the Library of Congress page, the first thing you'll do is come over here to this little drop down, and you can go to Copyright Gov. There's a lot of great information here. The first thing you need to see is right here, register a copyright. That is where you want to register your songs. But before I go there, I do want to show you one thing here, this schedule of fees. This is where you can find out how much it's going to cost to register a song. And right here, this is basically what you will be doing. You'll be doing a single application, and it is $35 for the work. So that hasn't changed in a number of years, so they're keeping their prices basically very consistent. You can choose to register one song, or you can choose to register a group of songs. I can't remember the fees on the group of songs. It's a little different, but you can find all that out there. What you do need to know is there are two ways to register your song with the Library of Congress. One is to register it as a published work, and the other one is to register it as an unpublished work. And the idea of a published work these days is a little sketchy because almost anything that you put out there in the public domain, whether it's on YouTube or whether you sell it on iTunes, anything like that sort of puts it out there in the public and sort of creates the idea of being a published work, that's really kind of what the general definition always was you're putting it out there in front of people. I think traditionally speaking, the idea years ago before the internet was that you're putting it out there in some form to be sold, to be listened to by the public, whether it's on the radio or they're being purchased in a record store, those kind of things. All of that would constitute a published work. So if you had a song that was not yet out there into the public domain, but you wanted to register it, you wanted to protect it. Maybe you were pitching it around to record labels, or maybe pitching it around to film and television. You wanted it protected. You could register it as an unpublished work. As far as the copyright of the song goes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's unpublished or published. Once you register it with the Library of Congress, it is protected. All right, so going up here, this is where you want to go. Register a copyright. Once you get to this page, it becomes pretty easy. I'm telling you, in the old days, when this was a DOS-based program, this was a nightmare. But you want to go right here, Performing Arts. Now, you'll notice down here, these are the kind of works that basically are registered under the Performing Arts category. And of course, lyrics, songs, karaoke, music, anything like that can be registered here. What you'll do is you'll want to right here, register a work of the performing arts. Now over here is where you log in. And if you've never logged in before to the Library of Congress, you just need to click right here, start filling out your information, and create a login and password for yourself. So once you get into the actual song registration, what you're going to find is they're going to ask who the songwriters are, what their contribution was. So was it music? Was it lyrics? Was it both? What they don't ask for with the Library of Congress registration is what the splits are. They will also want to know who owns the copyright. Interestingly enough, you can have several people that have written a song, but they may not all control or own the copyright. If you've written a song with a friend of yours, and neither of you are published, you probably just want to fill the copyright portion out with both of your names, owning the song 50-50. But if you're a published songwriter and you have a co-publishing deal with your publisher, they will register your work. And if you went to check and see how they set it up on the Library of Congress side, what you would see is that they list themselves as the copyright holder. All right, once you've completed the information, you're going to need to supply the Library of Congress with a copy of your song. And in the old days, that could be sheet music, but these days, it's just an audio copy of your song. It could be just you sitting with your phone, singing the song, performing it into your phone, and then creating an audio file and filing it like that. Now, once you've done that, you will have to pay a $35 fee. Then you can submit to the Library of Congress and they will copyright your song. It is protected at that point. All right, now let's look at registering your song with a performing rights organization or society. You can start with right here, creators. Join BMI. Okay, so there's two ways that you can register with a PRO, and one is as a songwriter and the other is as a publisher. Now, if you are to a point where you are a published songwriter, you will probably want to set up your own publishing company. I just really want to focus, though, on joining as a songwriter so you can get your songs registered here. Down here in small writing, you will be signing a 2-year agreement. That's very important, because if you join with BMI and you decide a year later that you would rather be with ASCAP, you cannot do that. You cannot sign up with 2 PROs as a songwriter at the same time. So you need to live with the fact that you're going to be there for at least 2 years. All right, and here it is. This is the beginning of the process. You put your information in, you apply, they accept you. But once you are accepted, you can now log in, and right here, works registration. This is where you can register your songs. Just be aware when you're registering your song, there's room to consider yourself as a songwriter and a publisher. And if you don't have a publishing company, doesn't matter, just leave that blank. If you have a publishing company, if you've registered a publishing designee or publishing company, you would split your ownership of that song between yourself as a songwriter and then the other half under your publishing entity. All right, and also this is where you can look at your royalty statements. Also, if you just want to take a look at your catalog, there you go. All right, so those are the two things you need to do to protect your song. You can almost look at the Library of Congress as a way of protecting the actual copyright, so nobody can steal it without you having a record of it being registered and copywritten. You can look at your PRO as protecting your song economically. If there's any kind of performances going on, hopefully they're out there collecting on that. And if you know that your song is generating income somewhere performance-wise, and you're not seeing that on the statement that you get from your PRO, you need to call and notify them and let them know, hey, I have a song that's been playing on the radio in Australia, and I haven't seen any income on that. Can you check on it? And that's what they do. They'll go back and they'll look through the records and they'll find out whether or not your song has actually generated income in some other place in the world or wherever. All right, you guys, I hope this was useful to you. If it was, please like, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and until next time.